What's up, Royal Spartan Tribe? This is Royal Spartan 125, back for yet another great reaction. Okay, this is Absolute Lad Lads, Evel Knievel. I've been looking forward to this one. I have, definitely. Okay. This is a requested video. And before we go any further, I just want to say Happy New Year for when it comes, yeah? Because it's like the 28th now, where I am, you know? In time, space. So whenever the New Year finally comes around, Happy New Year, yeah? Alright. I'll be leaving links in the description down below for this video and its channel. Check out my link. Check out my links while you're there as well, yeah? I just want to let you know, I've been saying this in another video. I'm working on one screen at the moment because I got a new video card for my PC. And the connection to connect it to my other monitor, I had to order an adapter for it. I'm hoping it'll come tomorrow before I start streaming. Otherwise, tomorrow's night's stream will be a little more interesting and a little more challenging than normal. But yeah, okay. Let's jump in.
And we are back. We are finally back. I have moved into my new house. I have done lots and lots of DIY. My office is now built. I can finally start shooting videos normally again. I've been pounding into it for about the last month and a half. Am I close to finished with the DIY? Am I fuck? New year, new me, new mad lads. And we're going to start the year off with someone interesting. Someone who you might call a bit of a thrill seeker. You know, thrill seekers, the people that like to leap out of planes, leap off buildings, tightrope across huge chasms, go bungee jumping, you know, just for that. You know, these are the type of people that risk an extremely painful and gruesome death just for that little hit of adrenaline. But that little hit of adrenaline ends up becoming like a drug. A drug that a lot of these people become addicted to. Now, I personally would never do any of that shit, right?
No.
Fuck that. But a lot of us still enjoy watching these things. We enjoy seeing these spectacular feats of bravery. Well, the ones that don't result in disaster anyway. Which is why I feel we should go back and look at the OG stuntman, the OG thrill seeker, the man who popularized these things. And this man did it not just because he wanted to do it, but because he wanted you to see it. This man turned his bones to dust for your entertainment. Evel Knievel.
Yeah. I just want to say that if Evel Knievel or someone like him were around today, he would not be allowed to be so popular as he was. Parents would not allow it. The kids would never see it. I guarantee it. I didn't mean that to rhyme. But yeah, you know what I mean. Everything's just so, you know, everything's just so, you know, politically correct nowadays. There's no way anything like this, to this extent, as they said before, this guy destroyed his bones by doing all this stuff over and over and over again. There's no way that the parents of the kids now would let them watch this stuff. But when I was a kid, oh yeah, baby, this was all the rage. It was.
Max are for losers.
You can't keep going.
It's staying in. Now, before we get into Evel Knievel, just a little word of warning. As this is a video about Evel Knievel, you are obviously going to see several instances of footage of a man seriously injuring himself.
Yes.
And I don't mean in the jackass sense where they do their stunt, they get hurt, and then they all get up and laugh about it. No, you're about to see several instances of a man almost fucking dying. That's just a little trigger warning, you know, for all of you sensitive little souls out there. And this should obviously go without saying, but I'm going to do it anyway for liability reasons. Do not try any of this stuff at home. And personally, I'm not worried about that, because all of the footage you're about to see is definitely going to put you off ever even thinking about trying any of this. So, with all that legal bullshit out the way, Robert Craig Knievel was born on the 17th of October 1938 in Butte, Montana, USA, and he had one younger brother called Nick. Right after Nick was born, Evel's parents, Robert and Anne-Marie Knievel, decided to get a divorce and leave Butte, Montana, but they decided to leave Robert and his brother Nick in Butte, Montana under the care of their grandparents, who ended up raising them. When Evel was just 8 years old, his grandparents took him to see a show, and this show would inspire this young boy to become the man he would eventually become. And this show was called the Joey Chitwood Auto Thrill Show.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in behalf of Joey Chitwood and his world champion Auto Thrill Show. And now moving along with the individual introduction of each of the Daredevil stars driving brand new 1956 Chevrolet cars.
Evel Knievel loved absolutely everything about the show. The stunts, the sound of the engines, the showmanship of the stuntmen, absolutely everything. He loved everything about the show. And he was excited just watching these guys do the stunts. And Evel probably thought to himself how much more exciting it would be to actually do the stunts. Evel Knievel is quoted as saying that it was the Joey Chitwood Auto Thrill Show that inspired him to become a stuntman. Evel Knievel left high school to work in Butte's copper mines as a diamond drill operator, but anything he did that didn't involve his motorbike, he found very boring. He's quoted as saying that he preferred his motorbike to doing unimportant stuff. Evel was promoted to surface duty, where he got a job driving an earth mover. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen an earth mover before, but these are pretty much the biggest vehicles in the world, right? They're massive. They're the size of small buildings.
Yeah.
Then one day, while driving the earth mover, Evel just thought to himself, I wonder if this thing can do a wheelie. And so, Evel Knievel did a wheelie in an earth mover. He did a wheelie in a fucking earth mover. It turns out that, yes, you can in fact do a wheelie in an earth mover, but what Evel found out the hard way is, while doing a wheelie in a fucking earth mover, you can't actually see where you're going. So while doing his wheelie, Evel Knievel crashed directly into the power lines, completely destroying them, and it turned out that these power lines were the main power lines for all of Butte. So Evel Knievel knocked out the power for the entire city. He was immediately fired.
Yeah.
Driving around everywhere on his motorbike and...
I bet he was fired. Not only that, not only was he fired, I bet he had trouble finding a job doing anything else for any other business. Yeah, it's guaranteed. There's no way anybody else is going to hire him after that. No way.
You can't actually see where you're going, so while doing his wheelie, Evel Knievel crashed directly into the power lines, completely destroying them, and it turned out that these power lines were the main power lines for all of Butte. So Evel Knievel knocked out the power for the entire city. He was immediately fired. Driving around everywhere on his motorbike and doing wheelies and earth movers gave Evel Knievel a taste of thrill seeking, and he wanted to start exploring it more. So he started taking part in local rodeos and ski jumping events that were happening in his area, and he became so good at ski jumping that he actually won a ski jumping championship in 1959. What? He also joined the army, where he ended up on the track and pole vaulting teams, and once he left the army, he returned to his hometown of Butte because he wanted to marry his childhood sweetheart, Linda Bork. So he kidnapped her. He was arrested and charged with kidnap.
What?
And then immediately after this, he kidnapped her again. Except this time it was successful and they ran off and got married. You know, some of that good old-fashioned romance. He then went on to form a semi-pro hockey team called the Butte Bombers, and he wanted his team to earn their place on the map. So he set up a friendly warm-up match with the Czechoslovakian hockey team prior to their 1960 Winter Olympics appearance. During the exhibition match, Evel Knievel was ejected from the game at the very start of the third period, and he just left the stadium. The Czechoslovakian hockey team absolutely annihilated the Butte Bombers, and after the game, when the Czechoslovakian hockey team went to the box office to collect the expenses they were owed, they didn't get paid at all because it turns out that someone had stolen all of the gaming receipts.
Oh.
I wonder who did that. After this, the United States Olympic Committee paid the Czechoslovakian hockey team's expenses themselves because they wanted to avoid an international incident, and Evel immediately retired from hockey, and that was the end of the Butte Bombers. Shortly after this, Evel's wife gave birth to a son who they named Kelly. So Evel now had a family and now had children to feed, so he needed a way of securing a steady income. So he decided to start the Sir Kill guide service. Evel Knievel basically acted as a hunting guide, and he promised tourists and hunters that they would be able to find the big game animal of their choice, and if they didn't find the big game animal that they were looking for, then Evel Knievel would refund all of their money. Now, that is a very risky business practice, but it turned out to be really, really successful for Evel, and he was making a lot of money because he always managed to find these people the big game animal that they were looking for. And park rangers found it very suspicious that this business method was so successful for Evel, so they decided to investigate. And it turns out that the reason it was successful is because Evel Knievel was taking these people into Yellowstone Park and illegally poaching.
Oh,
the park service then ordered Evel Knievel to stop. Evel Knievel then turned to petty crime in order to supplement his income. He did things like card sharking, swindling, and he even committed a few burglaries. One of these burglaries he actually got caught for, and he was sentenced to prison for it. And this is where Evel Knievel got his stage name. While he was in prison, he had a cellmate called William Knievel.
What the hell was that? Hold on. Sorry, guys. Fernando Caballo? Sorry if I got your name wrong, but if you're watching this right now, you just subbed to my channel, and so I had to stop the video to do that, to get it in there, yeah? But, yeah, thank you. I should actually have, I do have, but because I've only got one, I've only got one screen. I had the video up, you know, and I didn't get to see the alert, but I heard it, so yeah. There we go. You got a shout out because you got me while I was recording. Congratulations.
Stop. Evel Knievel then turned to petty crime in order to supplement his income. He did things like card sharking, swindling, and he even committed a few burglaries. One of these burglaries he actually got caught for, and he was sentenced to prison for it. And this is where Evel Knievel got his stage name. While he was in prison, he had a cellmate called William Knievel, and one of the prison guards had a game where he would make up nicknames for the prisoners that rhymed with their names. For example, William Knievel was nicknamed Awful Knievel, and Robert Knievel was nicknamed Evel Knievel. After his release, Evel joined the motocross circuit, but even while doing something that he loved, he wasn't making enough money to support his family, and this was made even worse when he came off his bike while racing and broke his shoulder and collarbone, meaning that he couldn't race for 6 months. Evel then got a job as an insurance salesman, and he was extremely good at this job, so good that he apparently was able to sell insurance policies to institutionalized mental patients. After working at this company for just a few months, Evel asked to be promoted to vice president of the company. When the company refused, Evel just simply quit. He then opened up a Honda motorcycle dealership, and he used this to promote motocross. But the business at the time was very, very fierce, and Evel was having a really hard time competing with rival businesses. So eventually he had to close his store down and settle for working just as a member of staff in another rival store. Evel still really wasn't making great money, and he was struggling to support his family. But he did get to ride about on motorcycles a lot, so that was a plus. And it was while he was riding around on the motorcycles, he remembered back to the Joey Chitwood Auto Thrill show that he seen as a boy. And he got an idea. He decided that he was going to host his own show where he would perform a daring stunt. And Evel Knievel did all of the organising himself, sorting out the venue, selling the tickets, doing the press releases. He did absolutely everything on his own. Even on the night of the event, he acted as his own announcer.
I'll say it. I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to. All the stuff he did, okay, you could justify it by saying he did it for his family, fair enough. But at the same time, he doesn't sound like a very nice guy. If he can do, like, even half the stuff that he's done, you know what I mean? He is not a stand-up person. I'm sorry. Not in my view, anyway. But, you know, that's just my view.
Show that he's seen as a boy. And he got an idea. He decided that he was going to host his own show where he would perform a daring stunt. And Evel Knievel did all of the organising himself, sorting out the venue, selling the tickets, doing the press releases. He did absolutely everything on his own. Even on the night of the event, he acted as his own announcer. The stunt he was going to perform was he was going to jump across a line of boxes that was a distance of 20 feet. And in these boxes were very, very many rattlesnakes and 2 mountain lions.
What?
He did manage to successfully...
Whoa. Mountain lions? Rattlesnakes and mountain lions? Yeah, this guy wants to die. This guy wants to... Okay, he's obviously practiced it without the mountain lions and the rattlesnakes, you know what I mean? Quite a lot, I'm sure. But still. Oh. You make one mistake, just one mistake, and you're done. Forget about broken bones. You're going to be chewing on your bones. Ah.
Himself, sorting out the venue, selling the tickets, doing the press releases. He did absolutely everything on his own. Even on the night of the event, he acted as his own announcer. The stunt he was going to perform was he was going to jump across a line of boxes that was a distance of 20 feet. And in these boxes were very, very many rattlesnakes and 2 mountain lions. He did manage to successfully do the jump, even though as he was coming down, his back tyre hit the final box. He managed to stick the landing and the jump was successful. But apparently, when his back tyre hit the final box, that caused the box to act like a catapult, and it fired rattlesnakes into the air and into the crowd.
Oh,
Evel
God.
absolutely loved it. He loved the thrill of doing the stunt. He loved being a showman. He loved the crowd cheering when he successfully did the stunt. He loved absolutely everything about this, and he wanted to make this into a career.
What about the screams of the people who run away from the rattlesnakes? Do you love that as well? Could you imagine? Could you imagine just sitting in the audience and just see rattlesnakes flying towards you? Oh man, I'd freak out. Totally freak out. I'd be screaming like a little girl.
Into the air and into the crowd. Evel absolutely loved it. He loved the thrill of doing the stunt. He loved being a showman. He loved the crowd cheering when he successfully did the stunt. He loved absolutely everything about this, and he wanted to make this into a career. He wanted these events to be regular, but in order for him to do that, he was going to have to find a sponsor. And he finally found one in Bob Blair, the owner of ZDS Motors. Blair said that he would provide Evel Knievel with motorcycles, staff, as well as help with securing and setting up the venues, so that Evel wasn't doing everything on his own and he could focus 100% of his time on the stunt. Basically, they were setting things up so that this could be operated like a full, proper show. Evel decided to do the show, but he wanted to do it with his nickname, Evel Knievel, instead of his real name, Robert Knievel, because he thought it would sound badass, it would inspire interest in the show, made it sound really cool.
How much do you want to bet? How much do you want to bet all the God Squad of the time, all the parents? There's no way they're gonna go for this. Evel Knievel? Nah, man. Would you let your kid watch someone called Evel Knievel? If you didn't, out of the blue, someone you don't know, someone you've never heard of, and his first name is Evil? Oh, God.
Like a full, proper show. Evel decided to do the show, but he wanted to do it with his nickname, Evel Knievel, instead of his real name, Robert Knievel, because he thought it would sound badass, it would inspire interest in the show, made it sound really cool, all that type of thing. Marketing. But he changed the spelling of his nickname because he didn't want it to literally say evil, because he thought that this might make people associate him with the Hells Angels. The stunt show premiered in January of 1966 in Indio, California, and it was very well received and everything went according to plan. The crowd loved it and the show became very popular, so popular that other towns were actually contacting Evel Knievel, asking him to bring the show to them. He did a few more shows, but at one show in Barstow, California, Evel decided he wanted to try a different type of stunt. He was going to have another stunt rider riding a motorcycle directly at him, and at the last second, Evel would jump in the air, spread eagled, planning for the motorcycle and the rider to just pass underneath him. The only problem was Evel jumped too late, and the motorcycle and the rider smashed directly into Evel Knievel's groin at high speed, launching him several feet into the air. Footage of this accident is actually quite hard to come by, but I think I've actually found it because the jumpsuit that the guy's wearing matches the jumpsuit that Evel Knievel was wearing at that period in his life, and the accident is exactly as described. So I think this might be the footage of that accident, but that's not been confirmed. Evel was hospitalised for a long time because of his injuries, and because he was in hospital for so long, the stunt show had to break up. But once Evel got out of hospital, he decided to continue the tour on his own as a solo stunt performer, except this time the type of stunts he was doing was the stunts he would end up becoming most famous for, which was jumping over lines of cars, and after each successful jump, he would do the next show with more cars added. He continued to do this successfully until one performance in Missoula, Montana, where he attempted to jump 13 vehicles, one of which was a cargo van. Evel didn't have enough distance to build up enough speed to successfully do the jump, so as he was coming down, his back wheel hit the cargo van and his front wheel landed on the landing ramp, which just brought the bike to an immediate sudden stop, which launched Evel through the air and he smashed down on the ground hard. He ended up with several broken ribs and a severely broken arm, and he was unable to perform for 5 months. But as soon as he was fully healed, he was back at it again with another performance in Gardena, California. Even though he severely injured himself trying to jump 13 cars in his last performance, for this performance, he decided he was going to jump 15 cars. He would...
Hold on. He couldn't jump 13 cars. Didn't have enough distance. Well, obviously he's going to get more distance this time, right? He has to. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah. Guy's nuts, man. I've heard of him. I've heard of all the stunts and stuff. Well, most of them anyway. When I was a kid. I don't think it really caught on here in the UK. Not really. I'm not too sure. I mean, I heard of him and I've seen some of his stuff, but even like TV shows and stuff, he do like guest appearances in TV shows. But I don't know if he really caught on here in the UK. I think it was more of an American thing. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Alright.
Even though he severely injured himself trying to jump 13 cars in his last performance, for this performance, he decided he was going to jump 15 cars. You know, I wasn't able to do it last time when it was only 13, but you know what will solve that? Make it harder. It was also during this time that the media started to take notice of this young and up-and-coming solo stuntman.
Before we get back to racing, I'd like to introduce to you a most unusual young man. This is Evel Knievel, and his specialty in sports is to take a motorcycle up over a ramp and leap through the air some 90 feet. That's what he's going to try to do today, over 15 automobiles. Now, have you ever done 15 before, Evel?
Bill, I never have. I missed a jump up in the northwestern part of the United States over 13, and I was hospitalized and laid up for nearly 5 months, and I sure hope that doesn't happen today.
Wow, how many cars were you attempting at that time?
13.
13, and you missed it?
That's right.
You're trying 15 today?
Well, the parachute's ready, the motorcycle's ready, and I'm not going to miss today.
This was his first ever televised jump, and he actually managed to jump the 15 cars successfully. He tried to do this stunt again in Graham, Washington, but he didn't build up enough speed for the jump, and he ended up falling short of the landing ramp, and he landed directly on one of the trucks, which launched him from the bike. But this time, he was lucky enough to only suffer a serious concussion. You know, only a serious concussion. But believe it or not, by Evel Knievel standards, that is extremely minor.
Yeah.
Once he recovered, he came back to the same place to try the same stunt again. And the exact same thing happened. Except this time, he broke his knee, 2 ribs, and his wrist. Evel got his first taste of national exposure when he appeared on the Joey Bishop show. This generated a lot of national interest in Evel Knievel, and it earned him a lot of new fans. Evel was then in Las Vegas watching a boxing match, and while he was there, he laid eyes on something that was going to both make and break him. Make, as in make his career, and break, as in break his bones. The fountains of Caesar's Palace. Because Evel Knievel took one look at them and thought to himself, I want to jump that. Evel decided that he was going to do it, but he had to get the event set up, and most importantly, he had to get permission from Caesar's Palace to do the jump. But he had a plan in place to make sure that this would happen. He remembered back to his days of swindling, and he pulled out all of his old tricks. To try and get a meeting with the CEO of the casino, Evel Knievel created a fake corporation called Evel Knievel Enterprises. He then created 3 fake lawyers to make phone calls to the CEO of the casino. Evel also made several phone calls to the CEO himself, putting on a different voice each time, pretending to be several members of the media to try and trick the CEO into believing that there was huge media interest in this event. And all of this worked. The CEO agreed to have a meeting with Evel Knievel. And after the meeting, the CEO agreed to allow Evel to do the jump on New Year's Eve, 1967. Evel tried to get ABC to film the event live, but ABC declined. They did, however, tell Evel that if he filmed the event himself and the stunt turned out to be as spectacular as he said it was going to be, then they would consider airing the footage. So Evel started putting together the event, but doing everything he could to keep costs low as possible. He actually hired a film director, John Derrick, to film the stunt, and then he even had his own wife acting as one of the camera operators. On the morning of the jump, Evel Knievel was inside Caesar's Palace, getting himself psyched, getting himself pumped up for the massive crowd and very many members of the media that had gathered outside for this event. And after arranging and paying for this event, Evel Knievel was now broke. He only had $100 left, and he bet his last $100 at the blackjack table inside Caesar's Palace. and he lost it. And right before he headed outside to do the stunt, he went over to the bar and had a shot of wild turkey. I mean, that probably was not a good idea. I mean, I totally get having a little drink before a performance to help settle the nerves. I mean, even me personally, before I go on stage, I have a few pints to help with the old anxiety. But then again, I'm only telling jokes. I'm not flying through the air at high speed on a fucking motorbike. Evel then headed outside with a couple of showgirls and the Caesar's Palace staff to a huge cheering crowd. Evel then did a few practice approaches to the ramp to get himself ready, and then he lined himself up for the main jump. It was showtime. It was time to do the jump. The longest that he had ever attempted, 141 feet. It was time for him to appease this crowd who had all turned up to see a spectacle. And boy did they see a fucking spectacle. Evel accelerates at the launch ramp, hitting it at high speed, but Evel said that as he was climbing the launch ramp, he felt the bike suddenly decelerate, so he didn't have enough speed to do the jump. He goes flying through the air and managed to land on the other ramp, but the back wheel came down too hard, launching Evel into the air. He lost grip of the handlebars and then, Jesus titty fucking Christ, we are literally watching this man's bones turn into fucking butter. Stop! Stop! Yamero! Fucking stop! The crowd just start screaming at the sight of this man being absolutely pulverised by physics. They were so horrified that many of them actually jumped over the barrier and ran in to see what they could do to help. The medical staff loaded Evel Knievel into an ambulance and rushed him to hospital. Now, there is absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to memorise all of the injuries he sustained, so I'm just going to read it from the list that I've got here.
Yeah.
A crushed pelvis, a crushed femur, several fractures to his hip, fractures to his wrist, severe bruising to almost all of his body, minor internal bleeding, fractures to both of his ankles, and a concussion. These injuries resulted in him being kept in hospital for 29 days. Now, despite the crash being an absolute failure, it made national news.
Yeah.
Everyone now knew who Evel Knievel was. And ABC, who before the event were only sort of semi-interested, not really bothered about filming the event, they bought the rights to the crash footage like that, and they paid way more for the rights to the footage than they would originally have paid.
And how much do you want to bet that he actually became more famous because he crashed? If he'd done the stunt like perfectly and landed perfectly, he would have been famous, yeah, but there wouldn't have been so much interest, I guarantee it. But because he crashed and crushed most of his bones and bruised most of his body, that's what people were interested in. They wanted to see the crash. They wanted to see the carnage. And let me tell you, not much has changed. You give people something like that now today to watch over somebody doing the same thing perfectly. What do you think they're gonna watch? What do you think they're gonna watch? You give them a choice. They're gonna watch the crash. I would. Oh my god. It's just human nature, right? It is. Okay, guys, that's the end of part 1. This is a really long video. Oh wow. Okay, as I'm recording this, I'm doing the outro for this first part after I did the outro for the second part. Because I didn't know I was gonna have to cut it in half. Yeah, it's like 24 minutes right now. Oh, sorry, not 24 minutes. 1 hour and 24 minutes. Whew, it's gonna be long. So make sure that you watch the second part, yeah? I'll put a little thing up there, you know, near the end of the video to let you guys know. Until next time, I am out of here.